Hello, this is Geometry Topic 3-3 on area and volume of triangular pyramids. So we've got a triangular pyramid, and we've got several things that we need to find just in order to get the lateral area, total area, and volume. We're going to need to find the perimeter, the height, the slant height, and the area of the base. In order to find some of these, we're also going to need to find our apothem. So let's go ahead and go over what they've told us. It says that we have a height of 20, a base edge of 24 on the square root of 3, a slant height of 20. We do not know what our height is. The slant height was 20. So given that, we need to figure out what our apothem is, because that's going to be the first step after finding our perimeter. Perimeter is very easy. Our perimeter is just the 24 times 3. And we get that our perimeter is 72 on the square root of 3. Now our apothem, if this is 24, that means that this is 12 on the square root of 3, which means that my apothem is just 12. Well, that apothem will go in our height triangle, where here we have our height, our apothem will be the bottom, and our slant height is the hypotenuse. We use Pythagorean theorem, so h squared plus 12 squared equals 20 squared. Well, if I subtract 12 squared from both sides, I get that h squared equals 256. So that means my height must equal the square root of 256, which is 16. Now, to find the area of my base, we're going to use a formula that you may be familiar with. It's 1/2 the perimeter times the apothem. So we do 1/2 times 72 on the square root of 3 times 12. And we get that this is 432 on the square root of 3. Well, now that we have P, H, L, and B, we can find our lateral area, total area, and volume. Now our lateral area is 1/2 the perimeter times the slant height. So that would be 1/2 times 72 on the square root of 3 times 20. Comes out to 720 on the square root of 3. Our total surface area would be our lateral plus the area of our base. So we have 720 on the square root of 3 plus 432 on the square root of 3. Since they're both on the same square root, we can just simply add them. And we get 1,143 on the square root of 3. Now to get our volume, it's 1/3 area of the base times the height. So we have 1/3 times 432 on the square root of 3 times our height of 16. And what that gives us is 2,304 on the square root of 3. So notice for your regular triangular pyramids, all three of your final answers are going to have the square root of 3. It's just how it's going to work. Let's go ahead and move on to example number 2. We're going to need all the same things: perimeter, height, slant height, area of the base, and our apothem. Well, first let's go ahead and find our perimeter. The regular triangle below has a base edge of 32 on the square root of 3 and a slant height of 34. And we need to find everything else. Well, our perimeter would be 32 times 3, makes 96 on the square root of 3. Now to find our height, we have to find our apothem. So if the whole thing is 32, that means this is 16 on the square root of 3, which means our apothem is just 16. We're looking for our height. So we have h squared plus 16 squared equals 34 squared. If I subtract 16 squared from both sides, I get that h squared equals 900, which means that h equals 30. Now the area of my base, that would be 1/2 perimeter times apothem. So 1/2 times 96 on the square root of 3 times my apothem of 16. Gives me 768 on the square root of 3. And I'm going to use the same formulas I used up here, down here. I'm just not going to write the formula out in order to save us a little bit of time. The lateral area is 1/2 times the perimeter times the slant height, which gives us 1,632 on the square root of 3. To get our total area, we're going to take that 1632 on the square root of 3, and we're going to add our base of 768 on the square root of 3. And we get 2,400 on the square root of 3. Now our volume is going to be 1/3 of that base times our height. And that gives us 7,680 on the square root of 3. And so that's example number 2. Lots of work to find this out. Don't give up, just kind of push through. Break it down into the same steps that I'm following, and it won't be difficult for you. If you'd like, and you're doing this on your own, you can go ahead and pause and try to do example number 3 on your own. However, I'm going to go ahead and do it right now. So if you're doing it on your own, go ahead and pause it, work it out, and then come back to double check. Perimeter, height, slant height, area of the base, and then our apothem. We have our base triangle to find our apothem, and we have our height triangle to find the missing piece here. So a regular triangular pyramid has base edges of 20 on the square root of 3 and a height of 24. Well, let's go ahead and find our perimeter. 20 times 3 makes 60 on the square root of 3. My apothem, if this is 20 square root of 3, that means this is 10 square root of 3. So the apothem is just 10. So 24 squared plus 10 squared equals a slant height squared. That equals 676. If I take the square root, I get that L equals 26. Area of my base, 1/2 perimeter times apothem. So that'd be 1/2 times 60 on the square root of 3 times my apothem of 10. That gives me 300 on the square root of 3. And now I have all of my key pieces of information. My lateral area, 1/2 PL. Total area is the lateral plus 1 base. Volume is 1/3 of the base times the height. So that'd be 1/2 times 60 on the square root of 3 times 26. equals 780 on the square root of 3. Makes 1080 on the square root of 3. Makes 2400 on the square root of 3. So again, lots of work. You want to make sure you find perimeter height, lateral height, slant height, area of the base. You're going to need your apothem to find the area of your base, and either your height or your slant height. I have the base drawn here, helping me find the apothem. I've got a height triangle here to help me find either the height or the slant height, depending on what was given. Here are your formulas that you'll be using. Mostly this work is just tedious. It's not actually very hard. The calculator will do the multiplying for you. You just have to follow the process. Good luck on this assignment. Have a good day.